So, as I've stated before, I'm a huge fan of the hack and slash action genre, and from what I can tell, the original Devil May Cry is considered to be the original hack and slash action game, or at least the game that popularized the hack and slash action genre. Whatever the case was, I was very interested in trying the game out because of what I've heard. And while I did initially enjoy my first hour of playing it, I gave up trying to finish this one mission I found painfully annoying at the time. I can finish that mission just fine nowadays, but yeah, you get the idea. Anyway, despite my frustration with the first game, I didn't want to give up on the Devil May Cry series as a whole since I've heard a lot of good things about the sequels, or at least most of the sequels. When I found out that the games were not in chronological order, I've decided to give this game a shot.
Wanna know the name? Devil May Cry.
Because this game was a prequel, I didn't have to worry about being lost or confused in the story. It's also considered to be the best game in the entire series, so I knew that I had something to look forward to. But yeah, let's talk about that story. The heroic, legendary Dark Knight from the demon world, Sparta, has twin sons who are half-human, half-demon hybrids. Their names are Dante and Virgil. Dante is cocky, silly, and just an overall badass. He has embraced his humanity and decided that he would become the ultimate demon hunter in order to protect humanity like his father before him. Virgil, on the other hand, is cold, calm, and takes just about everything seriously. He has rejected his humanity, embraced his demonic heritage, and seeks to become just as powerful as his father Sparta. One day, in a library, Virgil is visited by a man named Arkham, who agrees to help Virgil search for Sparta's power in exchange for the story of Sparta. Later that day, Arkham visits Dante, who happens to be enjoying a pizza at his desk. Arkham then gives Dante an invitation from Virgil by flipping the desk. When Arkham disappears, Dante attempts to take another bite of his pizza, only to be suddenly attacked by demons. And how does Dante respond to this attack? Yep. I know I've stated this multiple times before, but Dante is one of my favorite video game characters of all time, easily in my top 5, and this cutscene right here perfectly shows exactly why I love this character so much.
This party's getting crazy. Let's rock. Don't bet on it.
Holy crap, Dante is awesome! This combat is awesome! This whole game is just awesome! This is easily one of the best first impressions of any video game I have ever played, and I still love it to this day. Anyway, after dealing with some demons outside of his office, Dante notices a giant tower known as Temen Negru emerge from the center of the city, with Virgil standing at the very top. Dante takes this as a challenge from his brother and heads straight for the tower to battle his brother and any demons that get in his way. Elsewhere, a mysterious girl named Mary, or Lady as she's eventually known as, is also on her way to the tower in order to avenge her mother by destroying Arkham, who also happens to be her father. She often treats Dante as an annoying obstacle and will stop at nothing to destroy her father and avenge her mother. That's about all I'll give as far as the story goes. Without spoiling any major plot details, I will say that it is very entertaining to watch and is one of the few games in the series to give Dante some character development. Lady also has an interesting arc going on with her as well, and I've kept guessing what was going to happen next every time she was on screen. The action, especially from Dante, is also extremely over the top. Some examples being riding a missile like a skateboard, running down the tower at the speed of a meteorite, and even riding up the tower with nothing but a motorcycle, and using that said motorcycle to attack demons. This game is just oozing with style, and I love just about every second of it. Dante alone makes it all worth watching, but Virgil and Lady definitely have their moments as well. Alright, now let's talk about the gameplay. There are a total of 20 missions to complete, with some missions having a boss at the end. And how do you proceed? By clobbering the crap out of any demon that stands in your way. And occasionally solving a puzzle in which most just require finding an object and using that said object on another object to open the way. The combat feels even smoother than before, and this time you can even rotate the camera. Selectively. Once again, you can time certain melee attacks for an entirely new attack, and there's also now crazy combos which require mashing the attack button during certain attacks in a combo. Throughout the game, Dante will eventually acquire new weapons that definitely make the game more fun. You're probably going to think I'm boring for saying this, but my favorite weapon is and always will be Dante's trademark sword, Rebellion. I just really love hacking and slashing away with this sword. But aside from that, I also really love Agni and Rudra, dual sentient swords that have fire and wind elements. The style system once again returns with even more stylish ranks than before. Those stylish ranks this time being Dope, Crazy, Blast, Alright, Sweet, Showtime, Stylish! Like in Devil May Cry 2, you need to keep your attacks varied in order to raise the style gauge, but unlike Devil May Cry 2, this also applies to different combos as well. Continuously dodging doesn't raise the style gauge anymore, and continuously using the same attack or combo at the highest stylish rank won't keep it up anymore. Taking damage doesn't entirely destroy your stylish rank, but it will lower it, so watch out. Taunting was also brought back, but this time it's even better than before. Taunting will not only refill the Devil Trigger meter, but it will also raise the style gauge. Dante's taunt also changes depending on your stylish rank in battle, and it especially feels really good when you hear him say,
Sweet, baby!
But perhaps the best new addition to the game by far are the styles. You can choose one of 4 different styles before starting a mission, or when you approach a shop location during a mission. Depending on your style, you can use additional moves in combat. Trickster style gives Dante new ways to dodge and get around the area. Swordmaster style, my personal favorite, gives Dante brand new moves for his melee weapons. Gunslinger style gives Dante brand new moves for his guns. And finally, Royal Guard style allows Dante to block and counter attacks. All of these styles give Dante new ways to fight enemies. These styles can also be permanently leveled up by destroying enough enemies with that style equipped. When your style levels up, you will gain even more new moves exclusive to that style to try out. I especially love using Dance Macabre at level 3 Swordmaster style. There's also 2 unlockable styles known as Quicksilver style and Doppelganger style, but I personally never use them since they only have 1 additional move, and you can't level them up either, unlike the first 4 styles. Like the previous 2 games, there's also a shop that allows you to use red orbs to purchase new moves and items to give you an edge in combat. Also returning from the previous games are secret missions, and they actually do have some required challenges again like in the first game. Most of them aren't too bad, but some are so annoying that you may need to lower the difficulty and or backtrack after acquiring certain weapons in a later mission to make them easier. New to this game are Combat Adjudicator, whatever. Basically these are statues that Dante can attack with specific weapons. If Dante reaches a high enough stylish rank while attacking these things, they will break open, revealing a blue orb fragment. And of course, there's the game's infamous difficulty. Most people often label Devil May Cry 3 as the hardest game in the entire series. At first, I didn't get it. When I first played the game, I personally found it easier than Devil May Cry 1, and that's when I found out that for the original 2005 North American and European releases of Devil May Cry 3, the Japanese version's hard difficulty was made the normal difficulty, and the Japanese version's normal difficulty was made the easy difficulty. I didn't play the original 2005 release until last week, and yeah, that version is definitely harder than Devil May Cry 1. Though when I first played Devil May Cry 3, I've played the Special Edition, which was the version included in the Devil May Cry HD collections. This version included a lot of new features, so let's go over some of them. For starters, the game's difficulty settings were shifted back to how they were in the original Japanese version, so now the normal difficulty actually is the normal difficulty and not the hard difficulty, and the easy difficulty actually is the easy difficulty and not the normal difficulty. The original 2005 North American and European's hard difficulty is also now labeled as the very hard difficulty, so yeah. Secondly, you can now play the game with gold orbs instead of yellow orbs, which means that if Dante dies while playing with gold orbs, you can either immediately resurrect Dante with a gold orb, or just restart from a previous checkpoint instead of starting a mission all over again. This would later be made standard in Devil May Cry 4, a change I personally believe was made for the better. Thirdly, a new boss fight was added, the Jester. This guy occasionally only showed up during cutscenes, but now you can actually fight him 3 times throughout the game, with the second and third battles with him being completely optional. Fourthly, the Bloody Palace from Devil May Cry 2 was brought back. And finally, without a doubt the Special Edition's most defining feature, the ability to play as Virgil after finishing the game once. Despite having one exclusive new cutscene, Virgil doesn't have any new levels exclusive to him, and he goes through the exact same levels as Dante. Virgil only has 3 melee weapons, his trademark sword Yamato, a set of gauntlets known as Beowulf, and another sword known as Force Edge, which was Dante's default weapon in the original Devil May Cry. Virgil can also summon magically generated swords as his ranged attacks, and he can later get an ability that lets him summon those swords to spin around him like a shield, which can also be used to attack enemies. As for what I think of the game, holy crap, this game is so awesome! Dante is so cool! Holy crap, I didn't know he could do that! Ah, look at him go! Ah, he's so cool! Okay. Whew. Gotta calm down. So yeah, I absolutely love the combat in this game so much. Most of the boss fights are fun, but some can also be pretty annoying. This boss fight against Cerberus is what convinced me that the Devil May Cry games are known to be pretty hard. The main reasons why I've managed to beat this boss on my first playthrough was not only because I was playing on easy mode, but also because I've grinded for red orbs while replaying the first 2 missions multiple times. My favorite boss in the game by far is, you probably guessed it, Virgil. Much like with Nilo Angelo in the first game, you fight Virgil a total of 3 times throughout the game, and these fights are very intense and definitely challenge how quickly you can react and dodge his attacks. I especially love the music that plays during the first battle against him. Another one of my favorite details about these fights is that every time you have Dante taunt him, Virgil will actually respond with a sentence of his own.
Come and get me. This may be fun.
Speaking of which, Virgil is also a lot of fun to play as in the Special Edition, but I still greatly prefer playing as Dante because Virgil only has one style, and he doesn't have any pause combos or crazy combos either. The closest thing he has to that is Judgment Cut level 2, which is an attack he can get for Yamato from the shop. Virgil also only has one unique cutscene, and oddly enough, he still behaves exactly like Dante whenever he's interacting with objects needed to proceed. Huh. Weird. Also, I think I know why the Bloody Palace is indeed called the Bloody Palace. This mode can last for hours to the point where it's longer than the actual campaign, and my fingers were seriously hurting from how much I was mashing the gun attack buttons. The thing I hate the most about the Bloody Palace in this game is that as soon as you reach the 9,000th floor, yes, 9,000th floor, all of the regular enemies are always in Devil Trigger form in which they have super armor. As a result, I barely used my melee attacks at all, and mainly relied on my guns and taunts just so I could refill the Devil Trigger gauge, and I mainly did it just to heal Dante. I almost managed to finish this mode, but I was eventually ended by this stupid boss fight. Graphically speaking, it looks really good for a PlayStation 2 title. The character models look even better than in the previous games, the facial animations are really good, and I really love the details of the characters' expressions. The environments, on the other hand, while technically look very good for the PlayStation 2, are honestly some of my least favorite environments in the series. The first 3 missions take place in the city, which does look pretty cool, but most of the game takes place in Temen Negru. Now, it's not too bad for the first half of the tower, and some areas for the boss fights can actually look pretty cool, but as soon as you reach Mission 13, it starts to get visually repetitive, and some room designs actually get reused for later missions. Luckily, though, I feel like the gameplay more than makes up for it. Musically speaking, oh boy. Hope you like Edge, because this soundtrack goes all out with it and doesn't care what you think in the slightest. though to me, the part where the game's soundtrack really shines are the boss fights. Not all of them are great, but I really love Hold Your Horses, haha, I see what you did there, and especially Don't Stand in My Way. The voice acting is also miles better than the previous games. Virgil, Lady, and especially Dante all sound really good. This is also the very first game to have actor and stuntman Ruben Langdon as Dante. He's still the voice of Dante even today, and I absolutely love his performance as the character. And what I love about him even more is that even when he's just being himself, he still occasionally acts very in character, and I absolutely love every second of it.
Jackpot.
I also really love the selection of alternate costumes that Dante and Virgil can unlock, with my personal favorite being Dante's outfit from the original Devil May Cry. By the way, I really wish this costume would be brought back more often in future games. Please include this costume in Devil May Cry 5 as DLC, please? Overall, Devil May Cry 3 is a very awesome hack-and-slash action game, and it's definitely one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 2. Now, is it my favorite game in the Devil May Cry series? Well, not quite. I personally prefer Devil May Cry 4 just a little more, but this game definitely really does come close. While I'm not too big on the environments, I feel like this game just kicks way too much ass for me to really care. If you haven't played it yet, I highly recommend you at least try it, and I really hope you enjoy it, although I would personally recommend the special edition since it has the original Japanese difficulty. This is also the version included in the Devil May Cry HD collections on today's consoles. Psst! Hey Capcom, can you please bring this collection to the Nintendo Switch? I really want to be stylish anywhere at any time. Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening is truly one of the greatest hack-and-slash action games ever made. Not my favorite, but I still really like it a lot. That being said, I give this game a 9 out of 10. What can I say? I love this game and this series so much. I guess you could say,
I'm absolutely crazy about it!